G'day and welcome to the Grow a Small Business Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Truen. Each week, we speak with an owner who has grown a business with 5 to 30 team members to something bigger. Diving into their numbers and unearthing the pain they've experienced, we explore what they did to overcome each barrier and what they would do differently from day one. Let's get into it.
Welcome, everybody. Today I'm interviewing Dan Quintin, who's a senior account executive of Gallagher Insurance Brokers in Hobart, Australia. And we're going to be discussing a topic around Insurance and Risk Management 101. And I'm sure as small business owners, you'll get a lot out of today's podcast and some of the insights that Dan will give you. So thanks for your time today, Dan.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Now tell our audience, how do we know each other?
Would have been probably 4 or 5 years ago. Would have been one of our mutual association partners. Could have been a networking event. Could have been an awards night. But we struck up a bit of a rapport, and I'd like to think I've lent you some advice and recommendations over the years that have done you no harm.
Absolutely, and we both like sharing a beer, so that's that commonality as well, right?
Correct, and a bit of cricket as well. We don't mind that, do we?
Yes, a bit of banter, exactly. Yes. So as far as this topic, Insurance and Risk Management 101, so if you can just give our audience a bit of an insight into about you and your experience on this topic.
Yeah, of course, Mike. Thanks for having me on the podcast as well. I've been an insurance broker for 23 years. It's my passion. I love doing what I do. I love helping small to medium businesses with their insurance program. I used to work in London. I used to work in Sydney. Then I married a Tasmanian, and now I'm here lending advice and recommendations to firms in Tassie and on mainland Australia, and still around the world, because it's very much a people business. I have a lot of relationships and connections that I've fostered over the years. I use that to my clients' advantage to help them get the best possible terms and conditions when they're looking at their own insurance and risk management program for their business. It could be a small entity, it could be a corporate, globally listed firm, and I can help navigate some of the challenges, some of the risks. But here today, I thought I'd just try and keep it simple. And if there's anything you want me to delve into, we could do that today, or we can maybe do some follow-up seminars if anyone's got a particular interest in property or liability, aviation, tourism, you name it. As a broker and working for a global broking firm, there's not too many risks that I can't help with. At least I like to think that anyway.
Yeah, and from experience working with you, I like how it's not transactional. So you're looking to, develop the relationship, nurture it, and for everybody's benefit, which is fantastic. So, Dan, what are the main types of insurance a small business owner should purchase, and why?
Almost regardless of size or industry, there are probably at least a dozen risks that could impact a business owner's profit and loss if not considered and managed correctly. Insurance is a very simple risk transfer mechanism. You transfer the risk from your balance sheet to the insurer's balance sheet in exchange for a premium. It's probably 400 or 500 years old, this industry. Without insurance, no plane takes off, no bus leaves the depot, no employee goes to work. So it's very much an essential service, for want of a better word. Some people used to say that insurance is a necessary evil. I view it as an essential service. I also encourage people not to think of insurance as a commodity where you get return on your investment. It's actually an investment in your business. It can help you grow. It can help you scale up. As I say, it transfers the shock of a fire, flood, an injury from your business, it transfers it directly to the insurance company's P&L. So it's a wonderful financial contract. As I say, in terms of some of the risks to be across, there's at least a dozen. And you might jump in, Mike, if any stand out. But the ones off the top of my head, property. So property damage is probably the number one risk that any business owner looks to cover off, whether you're a tenant or whether you're an owner operator of an asset. That asset, that property, could have a storm damage claim, a flood claim, a fire claim, an impact damage claim. The list is almost endless. So that's very important. Business interruption, massively important also. If your business is unable to trade because of a fire or a flood or a theft, with business interruption, the insurance market pays you financial compensation whilst you're getting back on your feet. And it's the same insurance company that pays for the bricks and mortar for your business to be put back on its feet. Liability, nearly every business owner I speak to is across the need for liability insurance. Not only can you not engage with third-party providers if you don't provide evidence of your liability insurance, it also protects your bottom line. So if your business causes third-party injury or third-party damage during the course of its business, the injured party is going to expect compensation. And we're not quite as litigious as certain other countries, but we're getting that way. It's very much, it's almost mandatory liability. It's not a legal requirement, but it's very much a must-have. There's some more straightforward insurance programs that businesses would often transfer, and that's motor insurance, that's workers' compensation insurance, corporate travel insurance. But some of the more interesting risks, what I would call financial line risks, are not when you cause damage or suffer a fire. It's more financial harm. So management liability, for example, covers off some directors and officers covers. It covers off employment practice liability disputes, potentially an unfair dismissal. Cyber liability, and that's a massive topic, and that's probably something I recommend we circle back to. But the financial harm that can occur in the event of a cyber hack, a cyber breach, be it maliciously, be it a disgruntled employee, even human error, the financial harm is significant. Professional indemnity, so depending on if it's a white collar business, could be a consultant, could be a real estate firm, the financial advice they provide, people rely upon. And if that financial advice is not sufficient and it causes financial harm, that's the type of policy that would respond. So professional indemnity is very important for certain industries, and it can be very expensive to purchase, especially if you're a quantity surveyor or you're involved in signing off on large infrastructure projects, or dare I say cladding projects for high-rise buildings that have been deemed safe but many years later have been deemed not to be safe. Potentially the cladding crisis could be an asbestos 2 type crisis, where society as a whole was happy with something that was well known to the general population, and then sometime later it turns out that what we thought was sufficient was actually deadly. And again, insurance is a wonderful mechanism that can absorb these shocks. So business owners, I imagine nearly all would engage a broker. I'm a broker. I would always recommend engaging a broker, because as I say, if you've got a typical business, half a dozen guys and girls, you've got at least a dozen risks that you need to transfer. A business owner could do that on their own. They could do it online, but you would engage a professional as you would with a solicitor, as you would with an accountant, and we provide a valuable service, and I thrive on providing that service. How about that, Michael? How about that?
Very good overview, and I love the way you sort of put it, being an essential services to absorb shocks, and I think that sort of nails it nicely. And I think one of the shocks of recent times has been increases in premiums for businesses. So maybe just give us a quick insight into why that is happening.
Probably twofold, Mike. The simplest way that I explain to a lot of people is the reason that I'm seeing a lot of premium increases in the market is because of Mother Nature. It cannot be avoided that there are more bushfires, there are more hail events, there are more flood events, and typically all of these losses are paid for by the insurance market. Those residential owners, those business owners that suffer a major natural peril, so bushfire is a natural peril, flood is a natural peril, those business owners that have suffered devastating losses in exchange for a relatively modest premium have caused significant billions in claims to be paid. And these events are becoming more frequent, they're becoming more severe, and the insurance companies are paying more and more every year. And that's okay. And the insurance companies, the insurance industry is geared up for that. The premiums of the many do cover the losses of the few. But to ensure that insurance companies stay solvent, to ensure that they have sufficient funds to pay these claims, they have to increase premiums. It's as simple as that. If we were to allow the soft market conditions to continue, which in Australia we've enjoyed for 15 years, dare I say, if we allowed prices to be competitive, if not reducing year after year, insurance companies would go bust. You very rarely hear of an insurance company going bust. Their business plans they're not 3 to 5 years, they're 20 to 30 year long plans. Their investment in data analytics, satellite technology to provide greater flood mapping and natural peril mapping is significant cost to them to help them better understand where to target resources. So insurance companies, not only do they provide the cash when there's a claim, they provide the people. Because you physically need a team of people, a huge team of people to manage a flood event, to get restoration firms deployed, to get dryers onto carpets, to get builders, chippies, sparks, reinstating assets. There's so much that insurance companies do in the background that they don't get enough credit for. But that all comes at a cost. So Mother Nature is probably number one, Michael. Number two, inflation can't be avoided. I'm from the old country, and I'm seeing sort of 10% plus inflation figures over there, which is horrendous. Over here, it's 6% a couple of weeks ago, Mike.
Yeah, something like that. It's scary sort of numbers, sort of based on historical numbers over the last decade. And I'm also finding with business owners sometimes sort of challenged with actually getting insurance cover for some aspects of their business. So in these times, it can be fairly challenging and frustrating for business owners. So, that little insight and understanding, I think, will help many business owners. Now, you mentioned that aspect of cyber attack before. Maybe just speak a little bit about that, because obviously in this day and age, and the cyber attacks seem to be coming thick and fast, I would suggest this is a really important aspect to understand as far as insurance goes.
Yeah, it probably can't be understated. There are some commentators in the market talking about how within 20 years, the amount of cyber premium globally will exceed the amount of property premium globally.
Wow.
Just and that's tens, if not hundreds of billions in premium to pay tens, if not hundreds of billions in cyber claims. And that could be grassroots. It can be a real estate agent down on the peninsula in Tasmania selling an asset, and a cyber criminal fudging the invoice, and a $20,000 deposit goes missing. It goes into the cyber hacker's bank account. Or it could equally be eBay getting hacked and tens of millions of people's personal identifiable data being breached. It doesn't matter where you are on a spectrum. And if you've got a computer, you are at risk of cyber breach, a cyber hack. And you just need to, business owners need to just address these risks head on. You can assume that it won't happen to you, but I would suggest you assume it has happened to you already. And what will you do about it when your laptop comes up with a big red screen and a black crossbows and a skull saying, pay us 5,000 Bitcoins and we won't release your data? What do you do then? That's probably a question that business owners and boards, CEOs need to ask themselves almost weekly, quarterly, just so they're across it.
Find it hard to define a clear strategy, then communicate it and execute it alongside the rest of your team? Or you currently don't work a simple quarterly strategic plan to boost your team's performance? Our Business Growth Formula online course is perfect for small business owners with 5 to 30 team members wanting to grow. We share the mindsets, habits and tools to be a legendary leader in your business. growasmallbusiness.com.
Yeah, because the reality is pretty well every business is now so reliant on technology and their computers and their software. So, and as you say, that's I think it's a matter of when, not if, you get attacked these days. So making sure you're across it as far as prevention, but obviously then using someone like yourself to make sure you got the appropriate cover if you are unfortunate to get attacked. So yeah, certainly that's an important aspect to consider. And I like the you mentioned earlier, it's about insurance is about investing for growth of a business as well. So, and I think you've sort of shown that that's an important part of what you do, is understanding a business and their growth prospects, so you can make sure you align the insurance program for that growth. Is there anything specific that would be useful for our listeners to understand about that aspect?
Well, the best advice I can give to anyone anywhere is give yourself time and information when you're considering insurance for your business. I cannot understate that enough. Typically, some business owners, they may get their domestic home insurance renewals for their car or their home 2 weeks prior to renewal, and to a degree that's fine. But for a business, you really want to give it 10 weeks, almost regardless of size, a minimum of 10 weeks. So you need to sit down, look at your business, understand your own risk appetite, whether you're risk seeking or risk averse, engage a broker, do a risk review of your business, come up with a strategy that you think will best help your business. If you're focusing on the best price, the cheapest price, you're going to have to understand that there will be some trade-offs. If you want cheap and cheerful, you will get cheap and cheerful. On the flip side, if you want the broadest cover, the most comprehensive cover, expect to pay a little more premium. And in terms of service, you would want your broker to provide you with very good service. You should know your broker's first name. They should be in your phone. You should be having contact with them once a quarter minimum, just so you're both across where one another is at. And just dedicate quality time to the process and provide a lot of information. If insurance companies do not know something about your business, they could either decline to offer cover, or they could assume that you're not managing a certain aspect of your business correctly, and charge you accordingly. So it's the collective role of the broker and the business owner to sell the risk to the underwriter, to give the underwriter comfort and clarity, and then they will take on the risk. So it's very much a three-way relationship: the broker, the insurer, and the insured, working together hand in glove to get a good outcome.
Yeah, I like that approach. Essentially, a key piece as far as your business partners. So you can't underplay the importance of it. So it's been really good talking to you today, Dan. And I'm sure everyone's got some nice little insights and tips around insurance. So just to wrap up, what's at least one thing you'd recommend a small business owner does on Monday based on your knowledge and expertise in this area?
Number one thing would be ring your broker and have a discussion to find out if your business is in a position to financially survive an insurable event.
A great little tip, and I'm sure I haven't heard it put that way, but it's such a good little piece of advice that hopefully all our listeners will go away on Monday, make contact with their broker and ask that question. So thanks again for your time today, Dan. It's been great talking to you, and as you suggest, we might do another one on another topic down the track.
Easy done. Good on you, mate.
And for our audience, we would greatly appreciate a review in iTunes or whatever platform you listen to us on. More reviews means we bubble up higher in iTunes, etc., so more business owners looking for podcast help with their growth will find us.